Alright guys, and welcome to another video here on the EGL channel. Today we're going through another squad builder for a few different price points, and the reason that I've went on to do this is, for one, there's some good SBCs and free cards out at the moment, so we can try and base them around that. And of course the market right now is relatively low. I expected to potentially even go lower, but I thought I'd get this out just before Team of the Year. You know, if you're not necessarily looking at some of those players, we can maybe concentrate on having some of those potential players in there in some of these squads. But first and foremost, we're just going to start with a really basic one. If you know, you maybe got FIFA for Christmas, you haven't been able to build up a whole lot of time to play the game, you haven't got a whole lot of coins. This is what 50k gets you now. This squad, I mean, look, it says here, how much did it cost you? Well, even in just December, this was like a 100k squad. So looking at this, 50k for this squad, and just to point out, obviously, as well, every single one of these squads is built in either a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-4-2, either 2 or normal 4-4-2. It's typically 4 attackers with 2 wide players and 2 central midfielder players, or 2 CDMs. You can play them either way. So let's get into it. Obviously, 50k for this one. It doesn't get you a great deal in the grand scheme of things, but I still think this is very, very solid. Let's start from the back. Ospina, okay, yes, he isn't necessarily there for his ability, maybe just to give a little bit more chem over to Manolas, of course, who is really, really good for the money. I really think he's very, very solid. Hernandez at left back is as good as any other left back in the game at this moment in time. Of course, these upgraded ones are really good as well, but as far as standard gold goes, he's there with Mendy for me. He's very, very good. Rudiger alongside, just to get the chemistry over towards Werner, still very, very solid for the, what, 1,700 coins I think it costs. Semedo is still a meta right back. He's still very, very good. Let's move into who you would be playing in CDM, which would be Sissoko and Allen. I hate coming up against Sissoko. I've got a very, very good team, and honestly, I hate playing against Sissoko. He's so strong, he's quick, he just chases you down. I prefer playing against Kante than I do against Sissoko at times, so he's still really, really good. Now out wide, you would have Dembele and Lucas, both very, very quick. To be fair, if you did want to put Rodrigo out wide, he has the pace for it, maybe not the weak foot, etc. But the 5-star and Dembele is really, really good in the middle if you did want to change that up. Him partnered against next to Werner would be fantastic up top. Obviously, as well, the other CDM you would have is Allen. He does a bit of everything. He'd be more free-flowing CDM, so do keep an eye on which way you want to go with them two. But the way I would play it, as I said, is Dembele up top with Werner. Rodrigo, you know, you'd potentially play him wide or up top instead of Dembele. Just play around with what you think, but I think this is really, really good team for 50k. Let's move on to the 100k squad. Again, we're just coming up in small increments here, but the team gets significantly better, I feel, with this extra 50k. I mean, it is doubling the price, let's not lie to ourselves, but we got Pope and Nets, very, very good, and links into Gomez. How much is Gomez costing now? Let's have a quick look. 7,000 coins for Joe Gomez is incredible, by the way. It's so, so good still. Alaba next to him, to link to Davies, to link to Goretzka, to link to Sane. It's a very, very solid buy and left-hand side. Davies, I said, he's as good as any other fullbacks in the game right now. Very, very solid. Again, we've went Semedo down that right-hand side, but we've got maybe a little bit more of an aggressive centre-mid pairing in this one. Wijnaldum and Goretzka would probably play together very, very nicely. I do like the two. I've had them separately in teams before, and they're very, very good. Lucas, I would play out wide with Sane, with Werner, and probably Havertz up top, but I play Havertz and maybe a false 9. Saying that, though, I feel as if, you know, his actual raw pace and dribbling is maybe not great in a sort of calm position, which is where a lot of people did play him. I actually think he's pretty good up top. I think his shot power is very, very solid, if I remember rightly. We'll have a quick look at that one, but when it comes down to it's 74, so I'm completely lying, but people are obviously putting engines on him just for his balance. But even with a Hunter on him, he becomes a lot more viable, I would say. His pace is obviously at the top end where you're going for. It's not a fantastic card, but I think in this squad, he makes it work chemistry-wise to get that link to Werner, to get the links to the other two players there as well. I think he's a solid, solid option. If you don't want to use him, there are other options, of course, but chemistry-wise, he really does work for the squad. For 100k, you're not going to get phenomenal, but let's be honest, it's that link to Werner. He'd be very, very good in this team. Let's move on though. Let's go on to the 500k team. Now, out of the 4 that I've done in today's video, this is easily my favorite, actually. If I had like a spare 500k and, you know, I could just build into a team, something like this would be phenomenal. Let's start from the back, because the back is probably the most underwhelming part of it. Hernandez at left back, Cuadrado at right back, nothing's too surprising there. De Ligt and Manolas in the centre, both very, very solid. Keeper, just play around with whatever you've got. This is very slightly over 500k, but at the same time, you can play with the keeper. It's not as important. That Duncan card. Can we talk about this? If you get to your storyline objectives, you get to level 15, you get this Duncan card. I'm curious what people put it. Anger or Shadow. To be honest, I'd probably put a Shadow on just to get that pace right up there. With a Shadow, This guy's a killer in centre mid. Look at these defensive stats. 93 aggression with 80 strength. I'd argue you could probably put an anchor on him to whack that strength up a little bit, but then again the pace isn't necessarily there as much as it would be with that 98 acceleration and the shadow, and of course his defensive stats get absolutely cracked. His dribbling's very, very good. 3 stars, not the end of the world. High defensive work rates, medium attacking is fine for a CDM if you got him coming back. Decent passing. This card is very, very good. I'm about to, I mean, I can possibly bring up my actual squad to have a look in a second to see he could actually fit into this one. Let's just bounce through into this. This is my team that I am running right now, and he could actually potentially fit in. He would give the soft links there. I would have to figure out what I was doing with Bruno Fernandes, but that's besides the point. He could definitely fit in my squad. It's very, very good, let's be honest. But Duncan in there. Now, asking who you play him in CDM with would be Hakimi. Hakimi is 45k. It is an absolute steal. If we just have a quick look at this card as well, defensive stats aren't necessarily phenomenal, but what is it, Sentinel you put onto him? All of a sudden, they're really, really good. Then you got the pace on top of it. Very decent stats in terms of the passing. Good agility. He'd be really good as like an attacking central midfielder. I think that central midfield in pairing would be so annoying to play against. But you've got Duncan and Hakimi as your 2 centre mids or CDMs. Super annoying. The pace is insane. They'll be catching back all the time. They'll be really good going forward. Then you got your 4 front men. Now, it's curious which way you want to play this one. I've gone with the Dybala card. This is not available for very long, so if you are able to get this done, please do. If you can't do Dybala, I would suggest maybe getting Mertens in there, and then you could upgrade Insigne, obviously with a cash difference. But Dybala in there for me is probably a really good shout. Now, where I would play each of these, I would probably go ahead and play Gomez and Insigne out wide with Muriel and Dybala in the middle. Just basically because of the shooting. I think the pace as well through the middle will be fantastic. I think Gomez will be really good out wide. Dybala will again be good out wide with that passing, but I think as somebody who, that shooting stats, they're just too good. I think him in the middle alongside Muriel will be fantastic. And another good thing about this Muriel card, actually, something we haven't necessarily talked about, only 90k. His team is still in the Champions League. They are going up, as far as I'm aware. That is it's a USA Live. They are going up against Real Madrid, but stranger things have happened. If that gets bumped, that's an 86. He'd become even better. 4-star as well. Very, very good. But as I said, this is probably my favorite team out of the lot of it. If you don't like Muriel or Dybala, or if you haven't had time to do Dybala, or if you have had time to do him, maybe you can take Muriel out. I said Mertens fits in there, and a better Insigne card. His 87 comes in at what? I think it's like 100. Okay, it's at 80k for that Insigne card, which is pretty good actually. I think it's just his height, etc. isn't necessarily the best for this year, but either way, I really, really like the squad. Let's move on to the last one we have. It's 1.5 million and still taking advantage of some of the free cards. This one in particular is Suarez. Let's have a quick look at him before we do delve into the team. Now, Luis Suarez, of course, did get this flashback, player moments, I should say. 79 pace will put a lot of people off. With a Hunter, though, it becomes a little bit more respectable. 91 acceleration, 87 sprint speed is not bad. It's really not bad at all. Look at his dribbling, though. Look at his shooting. This guy will be really, really good. I haven't had a chance to use him. I've played against him a couple of times, and he doesn't miss. Especially if you've got a Hunter on him. I mean, look at those. That is just absolutely incredible. 4-star is his upgrade, of course, because of his moments. That 4-star skills now making him a bit more viable. High aggression, high strength. Stamina's not the best, but other than that, a really, really good card, especially a free one. I do try to utilize these free cards in the squads that I do make just to give some more options, but let's go from the back to discuss otherwise what we're looking at here. Oblak, Langley, Varane, Walker, Mendy. It's very, very typical. We went with Cancelo at right mid to get the camp to Walker because he's just really, really good right back. Cancelo still would be really, really good out wide. 4-star, 3-star. Just a really good out wide player. He could get into Suarez. He can get into Rashford. On the other side, we do have Carrasco. I think he's really, really good for the price. I think he's fantastic for the price, actually, at 186k. Gets the strong links for Suarez. Suarez gets the other strong link into inform Valverde, who is one of the best CMs I've used in this game. I definitely would recommend this team more than a 4-4-2 than a 4-2-3-1. I don't think these two guys are necessarily massive CDMs. If you do want to maybe commit not so much money towards Carrasco and towards Valverde, you could get their normal cards or maybe one of the second informs and put that more into Bruno Fernandes, who is really, really solid in himself. Obviously, the defensive guy in this CM pairing is really Valverde. A lot of our coins in this one have went on this Rashford. I've used this guy and he's one of the best strikers I've used. Even as just his first in form. He's second, it'll be crazy, but we're coming in at like 1 million coins. I think I'm going to do maybe an exotic, if you like, a 3, 4, 5, 6 million coin builder next week, but right now we're concentrating on some of the free cards that we have available and some of the teams you can build around them. The market's crashed. These are all very, very good teams. Let's have a quick review over them. This is the 1.5 million one. Let's have a look at the 500k one. This one, as said, was probably my favorite that I built over the past day or so whilst I've been putting this video together. This is the 100k squad. I'd argue this is probably the weakest squad because the 50k is actually super, super good. I really, really like that squad as well, but 50k, 100k, there's your 1.5, there's your 500. That's the star of the show for this one for me. Please let me know what you think of these squads. If you do have a go of them, let me know what you think. I've used all of these players, or the majority of these players, and they're really, really good in their own right. It's just a different way to build some of them, potentially. Trying to take advantage of that Duncan card as well in this one, which I would absolutely say get and take him off your bench if you're not going to use any of the other ones that you have there. He'd be phenomenal to come on as a CDM just to shore up that back line or that central midfield pairing in the last few minutes of your champs games this weekend. Good luck in all your red picks, because I know they actually haven't happened by the time I put this video up because we've had some issues with that one. Good luck if you can get a hold of Neymar, but these are the squads for the week. Let me know what you think of them below. We'll see you for the next video.